Heyo, and what is up, Sledge Nation? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. It's time for Extreme Rules 2021, and this is one of those shows that just seemed inconsequential. It was thrown together. There was little to no care or effort put into anything by the WWE creative team, so it seemed like it was going to be another one of these throwaway pay-per-views of extreme unimportance that everybody could seemingly skip, because the WWE creative team is worthless, they're uninspired, and they just don't know how to do this anymore. The same cannot be said for the talent and the wrestlers that went out tonight, because everybody that showed up tonight on the Extreme Rules pay-per-view came to work, as we were treated to some excellent professional wrestling matches that made you a little bit more forgiving of all the nonsense that leads up to it that really doesn't make any sense. But that does not mean that this card did not have its mistakes as well, and we are going to go over all of that and so much more, as only we can do right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare. You are watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show's Extreme Rules 2021 Review and Reaction Show. Let's do it. So despite the fact that they put together an Extreme Rules show that you can't really call Extreme Rules, because none of the matches really went that extreme, with the exception of the one Extreme Rules match that was booked on this show, there are a couple of things that I want to point out that I just want to complain about real quick before we talk about the show up and down. Honestly, the WWE shows just how inept they are when we get a six-man tag team match just impromptu thrown together during the kickoff show due to a backstage altercation between the New Day, Bobby Lashley, and AJ Styles and Omos. Now, I don't really mind the six-man. We've seen it already over and over again. The problem here is that they used this match on the pay-per-view to build a match for the WWE Championship between the champion Big E and the former champion Bobby Lashley, gonna get his rematch on Monday Night Raw tomorrow night, and that's just ass backwards. Normally you book the six-man tag, unimportant, nonsensical, throwaway match on the television programs in order to build the championship match for the pay-per-view. WWE decided not to do that here. They decided to do everything ass backwards. Be that as it may, the six-man was a very good opener. It was exciting action-wise. I really didn't have too much of an investment in it since it came together so last minute. This was just a quick way to get Big E on the card, and I appreciate them at least doing that. And I am looking forward to this match tomorrow night, because it's going to be a great match, especially when you take into account the two promos we had tonight on Extreme Rules from both the champion and the challenger. Full of intensity. These guys are ready to go and have at it, and it would have, made more sense to do it on Monday and lead it into the match, on Extreme Rules. But, this is WWE, so ass backwards is the way we're going to do things. If only Bobby Lashley had two guys he could count on. Can you imagine how great this would be if Bobby Lashley actually had a faction? What? Excuse me, what? I'm sorry, what? Oh yeah, that's right. Thanks, Captain Obvious. The Hurt Business is really missed right now. You think they're kicking themselves in the ass for breaking that team up? Because what other reason would there be for AJ and Omos to get involved in this thing? There's no reason for it. They had everything they needed, and they killed it for no reason, and now here we are with the perfect opportunity to have two dominant stables, two tremendous factions, go at it, and we're missing out on it because WWE killed the Hurt Business way too soon, and nothing could be more clearly seen than that than in this 6-man tag team opener tonight at Not So Extreme Rules. You know, we call it Not So Extreme Rules because there were not any real extreme matches booked on this card, and the WWE was getting a lot of slack for that, and they had an easy out for this. They could have really quieted a lot of the critics with the triple threat match for the United States Championship. And I can completely believe that the creative staff, as inept and stupid as they are, completely forgot that there's no disqualifications in a triple threat match. You would think at the very least they would be smart enough to give them a few big time spots. Especially when you take into consideration the main event. The main event, the Extreme Rules match, featured a lot of really intense extreme spots. You know what it didn't feature? A ladder. So wouldn't it have been kind of smart here for, in this triple threat match, especially that you put Jeff Hardy in there, to at least introduce a ladder? Use some weapon of some kind. It's Extreme Rules. There's the no DQ stipulation automatically attached to a triple threat. Take advantage of that. And then you have Damian Priest retain as you did, pinning whoever, pinning Jeff Hardy or pinning Sheamus, however you want to do it. And this also plants the seed for a rematch between the same three individuals, but because you introduced the ladder into the mix during the triple threat match in the no DQ here at Extreme Rules, you could now have a ladder match for the United States Championship with these three guys, maybe even add in a fourth guy by the time we get to Survivor Series, and that's how you book things. And then those of us here who criticize WWE on YouTube and all the rest of us smart marks and all the dirt sheets could sit there and say, wow, WWE realized this was Extreme Rules and they applied that to the matches where it should have been applied to. But we can't say that here. However, that triple threat match was very good because Sheamus and Damian Priest have tremendous chemistry. I know we've seen them fight a bunch of times already, and Jeff Hardy being in there actually I thought was more of a problem than anything else. Because what ended up happening here is the Ohio crowd, who was hot as fire all night, seemed to be a little bit more of a casual crowd, if you ask me, because they were actively rooting and cheering for Jeff Hardy against the current babyface hero, Damian Priest. That crowd was ready as fuck for Jeff Hardy to win that championship, and therein lies one of WWE's biggest problems. The crowd is still, after 20-something years, more connected to Jeff Hardy than they are to Damian Priest right now, so putting the two in the ring, especially with both being babyfaces, is counterproductive and is not really helping Damian Priest. However, they did the smart thing tonight. They gave Priest the win over a match that did include Jeff Hardy. He did also get the rub from Jeff Hardy as they had some nice, sportsmanlike conduct afterwards, shaking hands and, doing the whole thing and whatever. And that's good for Damian Priest. So they did good by the kid. I just think they missed an opportunity to shut up the critics by giving us some real extreme action, especially in a match that features one of the guys who's considered to be the godfathers of extreme in the WWE. The most extreme thing about that triple threat match was just the fact that Jeff Hardy was in it at all. But the quality of the wrestling in the triple threat, fantastic. I was into it. I love all three of these guys in this matchup. I thought they did fantastic. As I said at the start of the show, the work rate tonight on everybody on this show was fantastic. And I could even say that, and this is a weird thing to say, I could even say that when it comes to Liv Morgan and Carmella. Now, this was by no way ever going to be a 5-star classic, right? And it was a little overbooked in the beginning with Carmella getting way too much mic time, but these girls ended up having the best match they've had against each other since they started this whole thing. They came to work. They put on a decent match, and Liv Morgan got a big win, and let's see if they do anything with it. And that's another problem with this show. As we're going to, continue our little complaint things, I gotta add this one thing. So actually there's 4 things we're going to complain about. this whole thing with this show is, it looks like they're trying to set things up, but the draft is only a few days away, which is why many of us considered this to be throwaway, because no matter what happens, they're going to shake things up again come Friday on SmackDown. So how much does anything that happened tonight really even matter? And now the final thing I want to complain about, we're going to touch on the main event really quickly. The Extreme Rules match between the Demon Finn Balor and Roman Reigns was more than I expected. It very much over-delivered for 98% of that match. The WWE, of course, had to shoot themselves in the foot. They had to jump the shark, and they had to take the demon, and they had to have a little fun with him, and they had to overbook him into oblivion. And now there's two things that they did here. The first thing that they did was, while the demon was seemingly incapacitated after the Usos came out and interfered, and we had a bunch of real extreme table spots and some really good hardcore action, the demon was laid out, Roman was laid out, and then the lights went out and started flickering red, and then we started getting that demon heartbeat that plays at the beginning of Finn Balor's entrance song, and Finn Balor was like convulsing to the beat every time the heartbeat, bum, 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 and he's convulsing down, bum, 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 every time the heartbeat. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And then they continue to let the song play, and it played that part where they do the big breath. And as the breath was being played, Finn Balor came back to life magically. So now we got the Alexa / Bray Wyatt fucking hocus pocusy shit. And it seemed as if he became possessed. Finn Balor's body was overtaken by an actual demon possessing him. And this demon was about to will him into winning the Universal Championship from Roman Reigns. It looked like it was his to win. And then Finn Balor would go up to the top rope to deliver the coup de grace. And then the ropes just fucking broke. The top rope broke. Finn Balor fell and ended up becoming a victim and falling to the head of the table, and now he has no choice but to acknowledge Roman as the tribal chief. Now, I don't really mind the rope break finish. That doesn't bother me nearly as much as the fucking possession. Was it necessary? Couldn't you have done the rope break on the coup de grace without the fucking red light making its return? Oh, we weren't critical enough of it when The Fiend was using it. Let's give it to Finn fucking Balor now. That'll really get them going. That'll get them going. And let's fill the arena with smoke. And let's continue to let his music play as the possession is taking place. Because the music never stopped until the ropes broke. As if the demon that possessed Finn was just like, oh shit, we broke the rope. I'm out of here. What was the demon, a fucking giant minotaur or the soul of something 3 times the weight of Finn Balor? The guy's like 90 pounds, soaking wet. He's like one gigantic muscle. Is he that solid? Is that what broke that top rope? Did the Usos loosen it? Did Paul Heyman loosen it? I could pick it apart and we could bring the hammer down on it, but I'm not gonna drop it here because at the very least they took some sort of steps to try their best to protect Finn Balor here. We all knew walking in that Roman Reigns was not losing. He's got Brock Lesnar in his sights for the shit Jewel pay-per-view coming up. So they tried to at least still protect the demon, who now has his first loss in the history of the WWE, apparently, and now has to bow to the head of the table. I don't mind the rope break nearly as much as the overbooked nonsense possession demon shenanigans, which was absolutely unnecessary. They could have done that whole thing. They could have had Finn Balor just get his shit back together, you know, as Roman was getting his shit back together. Let him get the better of Roman, go up to the top to deliver his finish, and have the rope snap. What was with the possession? Why did we have to fill the arena with smoke? And why did we have to have the return of the red light? You take all of those things out, and we would have had an excellent main event from start to finish. But, 98% ain't bad. Roman and Finn came to work. That is the theme for tonight's show. Everybody showed up to work because almost all the matches were enjoyable. And another thing that made this show enjoyable is I didn't have to see Happy fucking Corbin. I didn't have to see Nikki Cross and Rhea Ripley or Nia Jax or any of the acts on Raw or SmackDown that make me want to cringe myself into oblivion. So that was much appreciated as well. This show was good enough, given WWE standards. This show was good enough, and that's kind of what happens usually when they just have a pay-per-view that kind of comes together last minute and nobody's really excited about it, and then the action ends up over-delivering. And maybe it is the fire. Maybe these guys are starting to feel the heat from a little bit of competition. I'm not saying that AEW's taken over or anything like that. All I'm saying is now there's finally something else. So that there's something else they could look at. And as they continue their ascent, yeah, they're still, differential. And WWE's still the number one company in the world. And maybe they want to prove that. Maybe they're feeling the competitive fire and they're going out there and putting on bangers of matches. Because that's what we had tonight. It started with the pre-show, the most unexpected of all, Liv and Carmella. They came to work. The New Day, of course, Bobby Lashley, AJ, and Omos. Nearly 20 minutes. Great opening six-man. The New Day and Big E win, of course. And this was actually just a setup, as we mentioned, for the singles match that's going to come at us tomorrow. WWE Championship on the line. Big E versus Bobby Lashley. You want to talk about why tag team wrestling is so special to so many people? You don't need to look any further than the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match tonight. The Usos continue to prove that they, by far, are the greatest tag team the WWE's had in this generation. If you go back and look at their body of work, it's started way before they were in that almost never-ending feud with the New Day. But regardless how many times those guys touched hands and crossed paths in the mat, they delivered. And those matches are some of the best you've ever seen. And here they are tonight with the Street Profits, who have been kind of stale, right? They have just been kind of on the outskirts of the tag team division. There's only like 6 tag teams. The WWE decided to keep going with the Street Profits. Doesn't seem like the Usos are going to lose because they're part of the bloodline and that whole thing's going like really good right now. So why would you want to put that bump in the road? And here's one of the situations where even though the Street Profits lost this match, they definitely were elevated because this match was fucking great. This is one of the things I love about pro wrestling. Tag team wrestling is like nothing else. I was raised watching tag teams like the Bulldogs and the Hart Foundation and the Rockers just putting on classic after classic tag team matchup. And here we have the modern day equivalent to teams like that. The Usos are fantastic. These two guys can go out there and wrestle a couple of garbage cans and it might be the match of the night. And I'm not saying the Street Profits are garbage cans. I'm just saying the Usos could wrestle anything and you're going to have a great time watching. And tonight they had some great opponents. The Street Profits came to work. That's the story of the night. And this tag team match was fantastic. The Usos retain versus the Street Profits. Nearly 15 minutes of almost non-stop tag team action. The crowd was hot for almost every match. This is one of the ones they were really hot for. They were asking for tables. They were asking for extreme action, but, none of that was really going to happen. In the back, we had Bobby Lashley calling Big E a coward, calling him a chicken, and demanding a title match, saying he wants his title back. very intense, really angry. And all I could think of is, man, wouldn't it be nice if Shelton and Cedric was still around? Maybe they should do that. You know, MVP's being shelved right now. Maybe he brings them back into the fold on his own just to counteract Woods and Kofi. And then MVP, when he's ready, can come back, and then you could have tension right there. He's, oh, how could you bring these guys back? He's like, well, I needed backup, and the Hurt Business is back in business. And, you know, we could do some cool shit like that. I'd be down. I'd be totally down for that. New Day versus Hurt Business now, it would be fantastic TV. Big E with the championship on the line, put the tag team gold in the mix. You could do the same thing you're doing on SmackDown, on Raw with these two factions, if you would just have the balls to do it. But no, we like to break up good things in the WWE. The Raw Women's Championship was on the line as Charlotte Flair took on Alexa Bliss, and this was a decent match, but I wasn't really crazy about the way the finish went down, and the post-match really dragged. Went on a little bit too long. However, this was one of the best matches I've seen Alexa Bliss pull off. This was actually one of the matches, as I'm watching, that I realized, goddamn, everybody tonight came to put on a show. You thought I was going to say came to work, but I changed it up. Everybody came to play tonight. Alexa was ready. Best she's ever looked. She made Charlotte look very good as well. We all know, if you're fans of the show, that I'm not the biggest Charlotte Flair fan in the world, but I will give these girls credit. They put on a decent match. It's just the finish was kind of weak. And then, you know, Charlotte Flair would end up ripping Lily apart. And then the fans were chanting, thank you, Lily, for some reason. And then Alexa Bliss continuously was screaming, and she was in pain, and she was trying to put her little doll back together. And then somehow, some way, she popped an Alka-Seltzer in her mouth and became Alka-Alexa Bliss, Alka-Alexa Seltzer. And, you know, so she could foam at the mouth, you know, and act all rabid and insane. I'm hoping that the ripping apart of Lily is signifying the shift back to the old Alexa Bliss, or maybe a emergence of a new Alexa Bliss, something greater than the Fiend Alexa Bliss. That remains to be seen. But yeah, the end of this match was stupid. Charlotte Flair went and got Lily and threw her at Alexa, using Lily as the distraction in order to end up getting the win. She hit Alexa with a big boot, and then the natural selection, and getting the win. This feud, unfortunately, is far from over. We've seen Kayla Braxton interrupting Paul Heyman once again, as he was supposedly on the phone with Brock Lesnar. And we don't really know for sure, but we could assume. He then decided to leave when the Usos came, celebrating their big win tonight, and they all walked off together. We then had the triple threat match. United States Champion Damian Priest defended his championship successfully against Jeff Hardy and Sheamus, as we talked about before. Great match. Really good match. Really good chemistry. Just really disappointed that they didn't take the opportunity to go a little bit more hardcore. Get extreme at Extreme Rules with the extreme Jeff Hardy. You know, but they decided not to do that. After this match, Big E had his turn. He accepted Bobby Lashley's challenge. He said he's going to be in the ring at 8 p.m. They're going to kick off the show Monday night, and Bobby better be ready. He said to Bobby Lashley, he's like, oh, you're a little bitch, pretty much. I'm paraphrasing, because he's blaming, oh, my knee was hurt when you cashed in. He keeps saying I wasn't ready. He said, well, your ass better be ready tomorrow, because he's going to kick his ass. Really good. Not as I didn't do it nearly as good. If you missed it, you should go watch it. Big E was intense. Bobby is intense. This match tomorrow should be something. And the fact that it's kicking off the show is a little surprising. The only thing I don't like here is how Bobby Lashley's kind of been treated since he's been the world champion. He's done nothing but lose. He was the one that took the pin tonight, which is why he was so pissed off in the first place. And he's only going to go to Monday Night Raw, most likely to be defeated rather, by Big E, so he can start to establish his run as well. But none of this really at all matters, because when it comes to Friday, we're going to have a brand split. So does any of this matter? The same can be said when we get to the fact that Bianca Belair got her rematch after the travesty of SummerSlam, where she lost to Becky Lynch in 27 seconds. This was not going to be one of those. I thought maybe for a moment that they were going to 50-50 book this exactly and have Bianca now come out, because she's starting to get in Becky's head, and beat her in about 25 to 30 seconds so that they could extend this forward. They found another way to do that, and I'm absolutely fine with this. This is one of my favorite matches of the night. Everything that happened here made perfect sense, and I'm okay with it. Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch, almost 20 minutes of action, and it all was for nothing, because it would be ended when Sasha Banks, the boss, makes her return to the WWE. Here in this moment, she attacks Bianca Belair, getting the disqualification, and then she would go on to attack Becky Lynch as well. So we are setting up a triple threat: Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, SmackDown Women's Championship. I'm all about it. Take my money right now. I'm absolutely fine with it. I love it. And I don't mind how they use the disqualification finish. They overuse it all the time on a weekly basis. But here in this moment, this was absolutely necessary. You can't have Bianca losing this match. You can't have Becky losing this match. And Sasha is the perfect little added seasoning to make this thing good enough to continue on and extend it further. That's how you do it right. I don't know how they get it right here, but they get it wrong on so many other occasions. This match was made even better by the crowd being split right down the middle. We had "Let's Go Becky" EST chants battling throughout this match. I really enjoyed the action. It made me hit Twitter just to throw out there the fact that Becky Lynch is far greater than Charlotte Flair. I'm sorry. Everybody says Charlotte Flair is the best that the WWE's got. I've long been on the fence of the guy saying that Sasha and Bayley are among the best, but Becky definitely needs to be in the conversation. She is far better, and her match with Bianca here made Bianca look like a superstar, where Charlotte's match with Alexa was just a little bit underwhelming. This was the superior match. Becky's the superior champion right now. I love everything they did here, and I'm looking forward to the future and a possible triple threat between these three. But again, the shadow of the draft looms heavy, especially in this situation. What if they decide to draft Sasha to Raw, or send Bianca to Raw, or do something stupid like that and ruin everything they got going and everything that they just set up? You wouldn't want to see that. I don't want to see that, but I'm pretty sure that's what we're probably going to see. And they might still push this match, and then whoever gets drafted to Raw is going to immediately not be the one to win the match. It's going to make it a little more predictable. I hope that's not the case. This was a great match, a great showcase for all three women. Sasha Banks looked fantastic coming back tonight. She had a great outfit on. She looked in shape. She looked like she was ready to go. She wasn't pulling any punches. This was very intense. Had a real element to it. So I love it. I wasn't expecting to be having this much fun watching wrestling during Extreme Rules tonight. I really wasn't. But the action and some of the decision making tonight was spot on. Extreme Rules match for the Universal Championship. Roman Reigns defeated the Demon, Finn Balor. We talked about this already. But this match, man, this was a balls to the wall banger of a match. Roman Reigns did something here in this match that I really enjoyed as well. The action spilled to the outside. Finn Balor ended up going into the crowd. Roman Reigns was going to follow him so he can continue to beat that ass. And then he would put on a mask, a protective mask to protect him from the disgusting people of Ohio, to make sure he's safe from the pandemic. And that was brilliant. This was a stroke of brilliance as a heel move. And I appreciated the fact that Roman, in the black jeans with, his muscles and his tattoo and the mask on with his long hair, taking on Finn Balor all demoned out with the makeup and the teeth and the crazy gimmick going on, gave this match a real big Mortal Kombat kind of vibe to it. And I was totally into it. But then the action got back to the ring, the mask came off, and we went back to just Roman versus the Demon. I was enjoying the visual. I thought it was great. I think Roman should consider wearing the mask while wrestling more often. He gave me kind of a Shredder, like a Super Shredder vibe. Or more on the nose would have been like a Scorpion or a Sub-Zero, because it's the ninja style solid black mask look that he was rocking. But it was great. It was great. And the action in this match was fast. It was furious, and it was hard to keep track of. We had table spots. We had Finn Balor pull out a mega giant kendo stick that he must have made himself at home in his demon garage, where he fused together 4 of them, but still had it only with one handle at the end, and it was all wrapped in red and black, and it was fucking cool, man. And he went to town on Roman with that shit. There was a lot of great stuff in this match. The Usos, of course, came out to interfere, but it almost was for nothing, because the Demon was able to overcome even the interfering Usos, putting one of them, I believe it might have been Jay, through the announce table on the outside. Pat McAfee was losing his shit all night long. If he's able to say even 2 words tomorrow, I'll be surprised. The guy was losing his voice by the time this thing was over. But again, as great as this was, it got "This Is Awesome" chants. It was definitely the best match of the night. Roman Reigns at one point speared Finn Balor through the barricade, which is what was going to lead to the craziness that was going to come. But this was fantastic. It was a great spot. There was chaos everywhere. The crowd gave a big old holy shit chant because of the barricade spot. And that's when the lights suddenly started to turn red and the heartbeat, and Balor was popping out like he was being hit with a defibrillator. And then the air breathed, sent the Demon into the body of Finn, and then the end happened. Finn looked like he was going to win. The top rope suddenly broke. Between the smoke and the red lighting, you could barely fucking see anything that was going on. And then Roman would pin Finn Balor, retain the championship, as we know was going to happen. And Not So Extreme Rules would be over. And it would over-deliver, in my opinion. This was a fun show. This is one of those shows where the action far supersedes the stories leading up to it. And every once in a while, you need a show like this. And I don't give a shit what the reason is that got everybody's fire burning. I just appreciate that it finally felt like something was actually cooking. And it was not what The Rock was cooking. It's what they did tonight was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And I want to see more stuff like this. But with the draft coming this week, how are things going to change? Only time is going to tell. I also don't understand why the draft can't fucking start tomorrow night. You had the pay-per-view tonight, boom, it's over. So now tomorrow night, start fresh. Why can't it start on Raw and end on SmackDown? This seems like one of those things that's going to get USA Network pretty pissed off. Why does it have to debut on the other show? I mean, wouldn't having the end of the draft be a special show as well? I mean, I guess we're nitpicking at some point here, but with the WWE, things rarely make sense. And that's one of the things I don't understand. We have a lot of things set up for the future. We got to see how Monday Night Raw ends up tomorrow night. Don't be surprised if a lot of faces from SmackDown show up tomorrow night. And then we're going to have the brand split reset with the draft. And then we're going to lead into Survivor Series, where all the newly drafted superstars to their new shows are going to act like they love that show more than the show they just spent the last fucking year on. You know, because that's what we do every year leading into Survivor Series. So that's it. That's Extreme Rules. You see how the poop hammer didn't come out tonight? We don't have any silly quips or any silly clips for you guys, because when the action's good, I'm going to tell you. And that's why when I bring the hammer down, makes it, makes it more accurate. Right? Because I'll tell you when it's good. I don't just come on here and shit on things to shit on it. I give you the logic behind the things that I don't like, but I do like to enjoy watching wrestling, and tonight, for the most part, I enjoyed watching wrestling. So this show gets an easy 3 out of 5 hammers. I'm going to start doing ratings here. Maybe we will. 3 out of 5 hammers tonight for Extreme Rules. Had they gone the extra mile with the United States Championship, or maybe given us at least one more hardcore style matchup on the night, might have even bumped it up to 4. But this was a solid show. Very much appreciated. Coming off of being at Grand Slam on Wednesday, there's just no comparison to that atmosphere to this. I did say on Twitter I likened the two shows. An AEW show is like going to a rock concert, and WWE's like going to the circus. And I don't mean that because it's a bunch of clowns and it's silly. I mean, it's more like family oriented, right? And it's more of a variety type show. But AEW, when you go there, you just got that almost ECW / WWE Attitude Era vibe, where every song that hits, you know the words, your head's bumping, you're drinking beer, and you're having a good fucking time, and the action in the ring is just as good. And the atmosphere, you just want to breathe it in, man, and you just don't want to ever let it go. And I haven't felt an atmosphere like that in quite some time. I mean, the closest I've come to feeling an atmosphere like that was when I was at NXT TakeOver in Brooklyn. I went to TakeOver 3, I went to TakeOver 4, and those crowds, that atmosphere was the closest I got to compare to this AEW atmosphere. It's just a completely different level. And being at SmackDown at Madison Square Garden, I could tell you the difference hands down. Hands down. Is it going to make a difference going forward? We shall see. But I did enjoy Extreme Rules tonight. I do not expect to enjoy Monday Night Raw tomorrow, but I am looking forward to the draft. I don't know why I do that to myself. They always end up disappointing me year after year with this, and I'm sure we'll be bringing the hammer down on it come Friday night. But thank you all for your continued love and support. Thank you for being here for the Extreme Rules 2021 review and reaction show. My name is Dick Nightmare. This is the team, Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in the world, Mr. Blue, the Yeti microphone, the most important member of this team, as always, each and every one of you. So now it's your call to arms, and if you are not already a member of Sledge Nation, become a Sledgehead right now by smashing that subscribe button so that you don't miss a thing as we continue to bring the hammer down on the WWE like nobody else does. Hit that like button if you had a good time with me here today, and don't forget to share this video with anyone that you think needs to come and join a community of fans that respectfully bring the hammer down where it needs to, and we also shit on this company when we have to, because we don't pull no punches. That, my friends, is going to do it. Don't forget to check out everything else we have on the channel, linked in the annotations up above. We are out of here, and we will see you next time right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com.